All right, we're back. So I started getting into substance use. I mean, abuse. I mean, addiction. It was for about a whole year. I remember going to the Johnny and asking, I need help. I need to go to AA. I'm just gonna cry. Sorry, it's just the emotions coming up is just seeing, hearing myself talk this crazy. I mean, I wrote it, but hearing myself out loud saying that I was an addict, crazy. When I moved, I started falling back into that habit, which I'll get into it. And a lot of people now think, yeah, you go out, but I don't go out much. I'm glad that my mom agrees. I go to bed at 9 or 10 and tells her friends that. But when it comes to work, they think that I'm such a party animal. No, I'm not anymore. I used to text. I used to look at my contacts on my phone and scroll and see, okay, who's 21 or who has a fake. And I would contact everyone until one person said, sure. Either be my old roommate, be a friend, be an old coworker. It could be me stealing a bottle from Safeway. It could be me asking guys on Grindr to do whatever they want for me. I mean, do whatever they want to me to get me this object. It's numbing. I thought about sex work on it, like doing that kind of thing. Like selling my body, to get this type of brain fog, its own dopamine. I didn't want to feel what I felt. I wanted to feel happy. I wanted to feel just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it. It's like living the same day over and over, like Groundhog Day, like the movie. And this one thing is so hard to get. It's so magical. It's like a potion. And it changes the outcome. It gives you something else, something to learn, something to see. I used to go to class high. I used to go to class drunk. I used to walk on campus drinking alcohol in a hydro flask. I used to go to downtown and inebriated. I used to walk around Target at my job doing that. Well, not working, but while I was off the clock and because it was off campus, I went to Target, I went to my job, like whatever. I was all over the place. I remember calling my stepdad, telling him I'm an addict. We had gotten into an argument, and on the phone I said, I'm on my way to AA and I drink this much alcohol, and I'll talk to you later. hung up. I don't think someone being 20 should be drinking a bottle of Svedka in 2 hours. Straight out of the bottle, I didn't care. I would cook while drinking. I would look forward to it. I even showed up to dance class inebriated. That was fun. It wasn't until I had passed out on the tile floor of my theater hallway. I ate on I took a 10 milligram on an empty stomach, and to me that was so small compared to the 40, 50, up to 60 milligrams in that high elevation. Girl, please. And drinking, that was my go-to. That was the Michael special. And I confronted my professor before I left that I was dealing with this. Actually, I confronted two professors. I lost my passion for acting. The space that I created was I need to get better. And I went to AA quite often. I was 2 months sober until I just, yeah. I think it was, I stopped going when I had my new job in manufacturing. I think partly the reason why I left as well is I couldn't find a sponsor. I didn't do the 12 steps. I think I got to like step 3 or 4. I also felt like I was not in a sense, I wasn't far off the wagon or off the spectrum. I was just, it's like some like diagnosing you with stage one of something. I was at stage one. A lot of people are at stage 3 or 4. I caught it early. Then I got my new job, started talking to a guy, started hanging out with one of my old friends. Well, I started hanging out with this girl that became more of a friend from my theater room. I didn't even think about her and I being friends, but we were friends. She was a really good friend. And I got comfortable. I was making a lot of money for a college student and able to focus on school, but I couldn't be myself at that job. Like the job now, they know me. Like that's just how I am. But my old job up there, they were sticklers for sure. You had to be a certain way, act a certain way, kiss ass practically. I'm not one to do that. I'm not one to kiss ass. I used to when I was a kid, more, not an adult. Like it's a two-way street, but people are different for a reason. Okay. One day, it was after coming back from my LA trip with my mom. I was at my voice and movement class, and got a call from my job and they let me go. I asked myself, should I stay? Should I go? Like I wasn't expecting it, you know? Like yeah, we had a talk, but this company had a foundation of building relationships, of talking to the person before you go to your leader, having one-on-ones, and I got neither of that from anyone. I even apologized to the people. It's like sorry that like just how I act, like sarcastic and um, you just gotta meet me. I don't mean it to hurt intentionally. I just growing up, like experiencing the amount of bullying from school and home, you build up a mechanism of doing the same thing to stand your ground. Like I think that's how I stand my ground. And I do it more of a playful way, hopefully in a playful way. Like you'll mean it, you'll know when I mean it. But I sat there, I didn't even focus on this class. I was doing what, like, I'm just thinking to myself, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what am I going to tell my mom? I have no job. I spent all to most of my money at LA, and I couldn't get my old job back because they were booked, they were filled. So I started doing DoorDash, but I also started getting more high, becoming a stoner more than drinking. It made me happier than drinking. Like getting high was happy, getting drunk was sad. And if I wanted to feel that, then I'd do this. If I wanted to feel that, I'd do that. I process these emotions at the same time. And I didn't tell my mom for 2 weeks. I didn't know how. Like, hey, mom, I have no job. I can't pay for this apartment. I can't find a job. And it was hard to find a job up there. I started getting more depressed, just balancing, taking one day at a time, having faith and hoping that something will have a turn. And that turn was a distraction, another sort of numbing, and that was love. I was in love. I also started working out during that time. Like I was my best for who I am, who I was back then. I was at my best when I had that job because I was going to the gym constantly. I was working. I was doing like I had it all. I felt so successful. Like I was having dealing with the going back to my old like reflecting from my old relationship because I was going through trauma therapy, and I was always told like I would never amount, never be enough. And I just felt so successful. Like I was playing the successful song from Ariana Grande for a good while. And I also started listening to a podcast, so that was helping big time. And then I started talking to someone. And a lot of people know this, well, have heard of this someone. My space boy. My space boy was different. When I first met my space boy, I remember that evening very well. He said, "Okay, we can hang in my car and said, okay, cool. Drive around, maybe talk, go downstairs." And so excited. Oh, we were gonna get Dutch. That's what we did. Got Dutch that night, and it was casual. We talked for a couple hours, and hearing him talk about space, plants, I didn't think that would be this person's type. That relationship started to evolve. And while it was evolving, while I was happy, I was confused. He and I didn't really go on a date, like hang out in his car, hang out at his place. He said, "Oh no, we went on a date. We hiked." Okay, no, we went on a double. I don't care what you and your sister said, but that was a double date. All right, she brought something that she liked. You brought me. It was kind of like a double date. Yeah, your sister probably invited herself, but that was a double date. That wasn't like a you and I date. So yeah, but I was confused because it didn't seem like I was the first choice again. Like it was like, oh, this person's really cute. I'm talking to this other person. I don't know. And then I met someone else, and that became my relationship, my third one, which I don't even want to count as a relationship, but it was a relationship in a sense. This person had this goal of what they wanted to do in life, and that was something from my last relationship that they didn't have, but this one did. And this one, dressed really nicely, and I did as well, and enjoy going out, and I did as well. It was kind of the same, similar mindset in a way, but I couldn't be myself in that relationship. And we'll get into that relationship in a bit. But I chose that over my space boy. And my space boy and I, we still talk. We still hang, like message and I miss him so much. I never had someone motivate me wanting to be of it, like being an influence. I never had someone I loved change my life's plan. I always pictured moving to California, moving to LA or San Diego, and he wanted to move to Colorado. And I told myself, gosh, if we dated and we remained together, I would move to Colorado. Crazy. But I wouldn't. I felt so safe that sometimes I even close my eyes thinking about it. It comforts me from time to time. And when I talk about him to other people, they always ask, "Why don't you guys be a thing?" And I said, "He doesn't want the distance, and he's with someone else." And but I still love him in a way. He is the one that got away in my life. And I blame myself a lot for choosing who I chose over this person who wanted to take things slow. And that night, I chose who I chose was the night that he was going to ask me out to be his boyfriend. So I deal with a lot of what ifs. And then the relationship that I chose was so, it was like he was the boss and I was the assistant, having to meet expectations, having to keep on the run, and having to change who I was. And looking back now, it was a lot of gaslighting. It was like, I'm leaving, I'm doing this when you're experiencing this, and I don't want to experience that with you. So I'm leaving you be because you're crazy. And then it was like, no two-way street. There was no support. When I was trying and trying and trying to meet their expectations of, like, I only date this type of people. I only, I want this type of partner. And it's so hard to be who I was at that best version of myself at that time. To meet this expectation when this other person who I loved with my heart felt so safe. And no offense, but sex was never that good with the person I chose than the person I really wanted to be with. The one that I didn't choose, my space boy, it was like Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga in that movie, Star is Born. I remember that night. It was a really good night. But this person that I chose didn't like how much I was dealing with substances. Not as much as I did, but I just came to the fact of that's just me. It's just me. I always said that. It's just me. I don't say that anymore. um, I was dealing with so much mood swings. It was hard to keep up with myself while keeping up with this new person and what they wanted. You know, one day or one moment I would feel happy, and then the next I would start crying, and then the next I would be really irritated at myself and angry that I'm doing this, and then I would be happy again. It's just, yeah. But even though this person was not good for me, not the worst, but not the best, I'm glad I had them in my life because they too wanted to move back to their hometown, which was my hometown, Phoenix. And without that, I wouldn't be where I am today. I would probably be far off then, you know. So I took that leap of faith. And there was a position open. My manager down here was getting promoted. So then the assistant was getting promoted, and I would be the assistant. It just worked out so amazingly. Like I was so, oh my gosh, coming back to my roots. And then my relationship and I split apart, you know. And I knew it wasn't good. And I don't know why I went back trying to prove, like, yeah, this is who I am. And yeah, I did that. Like when we broke up the first time and took a break, and I freaked out for 2 days because we went from talking to hanging out all day, every day, him spending the night, to complete silence. Told me to, we'll focus on ourselves and grow and we'll be better. And that better turned into them fucking 4 guys in a weekend, while I put in the work. What was that? And then when I visited during my break, I was in the transition of looking at places, and I told him, "Oh my god, I do this and do that." I have all these people, and and he always told me, "Environments will never change you as a person." Yes and no, or yes and. I like to say yes and. Well, in this case, yes and no. It's like agreeing and then furthering the agreement of environment will never change you as a person, which I think is false, because you could become, grow if you know your potential in an environment, and go for it. And that's what I did. I moved. I got my own place, less than a quarter mile from my parents. Funny. I don't really go over there much, just for personal reasons, boundaries, for myself at least. And I had my brother, my sister-in-law down here, and I had everyone. I had my job. I had the people that I worked with. Like, oh my god, I had a great support system. And then I turned 21. Gosh, what first 2 months that was? 3 months that was. Going to the bar almost every night or 3 times a week, partying and clubbing and going to work hungover and spending all my money. And that's what I had to learn, was finances. That was my first lesson down here. I got so far behind and having to pay people back because people helped me get here. There's only a couple people I have to pay back, but the one person I wanted to, that needed, like, because it was, a relationship that I know that I break apart, something that, like, the other people have been in my life for years, Um, I wasn't able to. I was so stressed, mad at myself, because I knew my potential, but this new thing of individuality came into my life. I was, dealing with the emotions of my ex. I was dealing with the emotions of who I was back then and figuring myself out. And then I got late on rent, late on my car. Mom had to take out loans and help, and stepdad helped. And I'm going to take a bathroom break. Because this next part is quite tough. So you're more than welcome to stay or leave if you haven't. Trust me, ending is worth it.